Good evening, everybody. Welcome into the Everyman Sports Podcast. We are your hosts. I am Matt Robert.
And I'm Braden Morris.
We hope you guys have had a great weekend. It's been a crazy 4 days since we did episode number 2, and we can't wait to jump right back in. But first, I got to ask, Braden, how do you feel?
We had a very, very good weekend in Denver celebrating our buddy who will be getting married here in about 4 months in July. It was good, man. I think first and foremost, I think we can start it off with Friday night. Nuggets played the Phoenix Suns, and we were in attendance for that game and got to witness the first ever 30 points, 20 rebounds, 20 assists game by a player ever in the NBA. So it was pretty cool. We got to see a win, got to see Jokic make some history, and got to hang out with all of our buddies while doing it. So it was a pretty good weekend.
Yeah, definitely a very fantastic weekend. You know, when you get into this portion of your life where you're working and dealing with all of your responsibilities, you really forget that times like these need to be cherished. And we were thankful to be with our boys and have a break from the craziness of life. So
Yeah, it was a fun one, man. But yeah. So we hope all you guys. We hope you had a good weekend. About to crank into probably just about the best 2 weeks throughout the year.
I would have to say so.
Big conferences. I know right now we're watching the Sun Belt Championship semifinal, as Troy and James Madison are playing each other. So smaller conferences are getting into their conference titles already, but ACC, SEC, Big Ten, all them, they'll be starting next weekend. So it just keeps getting better.
It does, man. And Selection Sunday is kind of an unofficial holiday for me every year. It's one that I look forward to on the sports calendar, and it truly, I think, is the best American sport, just because of the sheer number of games, number of teams, the format, not nonstop action, just fantastic.
Yeah, there's nothing quite like watching the 64 teams in that big dance tear it up in those first 2 rounds. I mean, it's perfect. I mean, as a man, as a sports fan, guy, girl, sports fans in general, it's just from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. at night, you got nothing but basketball for those 2, 3, 4 days.
Mm-hmm. Thank goodness I've got a little stand under my computer at work so I can put my phone on Thursday, Friday.
That's exactly how it should be, man. But I mean, that's kind of what's going on right now. We watched had some good ball games over the weekend too with college basketball. Auburn, Alabama took it down to overtime, right?
Fantastic game. Mark Sears sealed it with the layup at the buzzer.
Yeah. It was we were all watching that one together down in Denver. Yeah, we got plenty of games that are continuing to happen, and they're only going to get better here soon. So,
yep,
let's get into this, man.
Let's do it. All right. First thing we want to get into is trying to get into most of the NFL news that's occurred over the last 4 days, but we know there's so much we're probably going to miss a few of them, so we apologize for that. But like we said at the top of the last episode, this news cycle never stops, and you got to just keep up with it as best you can.
Do your best. Our NFL free agency is about to kick off tomorrow,
Teams
and it's about to get a little hectic.
Oh, it is. Teams can start negotiating with free agents, and then Wednesday, when the new league year begins, all those transactions will go into effect. So be ready, have your phone nearby, and a lot of stuff is going to be happening, and we cannot wait for it.
Should be a good one, man. Yep. Should be a good one. What do we have already? We had Devontae signed with the Rams. We had
Aaron Jones re-signed with Minnesota.
We had DK Metcalf just get traded to Pittsburgh a couple hours ago. It's kind of just breaking the crust right now, man.
Yeah, and which is crazy because you not only do you have that, but Joey Bosa got released by the Chargers. Christian Kirk got traded to the Texans for a 7th. Bobby Wagner's going back to Washington.
Yep, I like that one a lot. I think he's I kind of feel like with Bobby Wagner, this is kind of like his last hurrah.
Right.
Put me on one contract, go get some other big names, and let's go.
Right.
Let's go try and win this thing before I head off into the sunset. I think, but we're watching possibly, very possibly, Bobby Wagner's last year.
Yep. The end stages of a very fantastic career for Bobby Wagner, and I think eventually that man's going to be wearing a gold jacket.
Yeah, he. How many rings does he have now?
Just one.
He only has one. Okay,
Yeah,
I wasn't sure.
I think he just won the one with Seattle in 2013.
Did he win the one with the Rams in 21?
No, he wasn't there.
Okay. Well, still one ring. It's an accomplishment that you and I will never be able to get to say we did. So it's pretty dang cool, man. And yep. he's an old dude that's still playing a very high level of football for given his age and the position he plays with that physical battle every weekend and week out. And he's a special dude, and I think it'll be cool to watch him play one last year.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know if this streak is still going, but I know at one point in his career it was like 9 or 10 straight seasons of 100 plus tackles for him, which is just insane because being a linebacker, you got to be in the right place at the right time, make the right reads, just be able to be all over the field and
ball hawking, baby, ball hawking.
Yep, quarterback of the defense for a reason.
Absolutely,
and Bobby Wagner is one of the best.
Yeah. Well, what are we getting into? Are we going to start? We're going to try and make some calls on who we think's going where.
Yeah, we will get to that in just a few minutes. But
perfect.
The other big news story that I wanted to talk about in terms of the NFL, Josh Allen just signed a 6-year, $330 million contract extension that will keep him in Buffalo until 2030.
And it's what, 250 million guaranteed?
Something insane like that.
Told you, man, just the price just keeps getting higher and higher, and it's 55 million a year is absolutely insane, and he's earned it. So he he just got to keep trying, keep breaking that hill, and hopefully they can find some more success around him.
I think tomorrow we can see some pretty big upgrades come through for them on the free agent market. So
absolutely.
So we will see what happens. And then, you got Myles Garrett signing his record-breaking extension for defensive ends.
Yep. Myles Garrett decided that he really didn't want to get traded when Cleveland came to him with that type of check. So I think he's cool with taking another season of losing when he's getting paid $40 million to do it.
I mean, truthfully, I think anybody in his position would say the same thing.
Yeah, right? Don't blame the guy one bit.
No,
do not blame the guy.
Absolutely not. And then we wanted to shout out a couple of Wyoming Cowgirls. Allison Ferdig was named Mountain West Player of the Year. Emily Melamo was named Defensive Player of the Year for the conference. And then Ferdig and point guard Melina Peterson were named to the All Mountain West team. I think this Cowgirl team can win the Mountain West, man.
Yeah, I honestly have not kept up a ton on the Cowgirls this year, but it's pretty cool seeing them girls get their individual awards and ultimately, hopefully they get some team success to get together. What, their conference title starts this week? Or is it going on right now?
They play tomorrow at 6.
Tomorrow at 6.
Utah State and Air Force are playing right now.
Yep.
And then Wyoming will play that winner tomorrow at 6 o'clock Mountain Time. And, you want to talk about a team that's been consistent throughout most of its recent history, the last 20 years. You got to look at the Cowgirls.
Yeah.
They were in contention for starting in the early 2000s, and they've stayed in contention until now. And a lot of that had to do with Joe Legursky and his stability in his coaching role and continuing to hire from within. Shout out to Coach Heather Rizell. She's built a fantastic team in Laramie, and it's only going to get better.
Absolutely. Well said, man. Joseph Legursky, I've had the pleasure of being able to be around him and his son and his wife and his daughter when growing up. I was, hanging out with my best buddy, Ryan, his dad, former voice of the Cowgirls for many, many, many years. And it was really fun getting to hang around them. And Joe's a great guy. I think he did a great job building that program. And, now it's now their ship is sailing pretty good. So it's pretty cool to see.
Yep. Going to be really exciting to see if the Cowgirls can bring another conference title home to Laramie. Go Pokes. All right, staying on some basketball. Who do you think's going to win all the major conference tournaments?
Oh goodness. I don't know, man. Let's see where we want to start.
Let's start with what I think is the hardest one, the SEC.
Oh gosh, dude. The problem is there's 12 teams looking to come out of the SEC and play in the postseason.
I know, man.
They're deep. I think just it's anybody's game in that conference. They are good from from their first place in their standings to their eighth place in their standings.
Yep.
They are a solid conference. But if I'm gonna have to pick a winner, there's only going to be one. I think it's going to be the Alabama Crimson Tide. I think they'll have another very, very fun game with Auburn in that tournament.
Yeah.
Whether that's depending on seeding, whether that's semifinal to get in, or if that is the title game.
Right.
I think they're gonna have another fun one with them, and I think Sears and those Tide. I think they can do it in the SEC title and roll in hot to the NCAA tournament.
Oh, for sure, and I think it's not out of the question to think who wins that. If it is Alabama Auburn Part 3 in the title game, because I think they're 1 and 2 in the conference standings.
I think you're correct.
I think the winner of that game might be in play for the number 1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, if whoever comes out of that tournament as champions, I mean, just another one that we can talk about is the Florida Gators.
Right.
I think that they just blew out Alabama a couple weeks ago, a couple days ago, something like that.
I mean, in fact, I think we were recording our last episode.
I think we were recording, yeah. And well, I mean, I guess I shouldn't say blow them out, but they beat them by about 10, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
They played them well. Any team in that conference can get hot, and they can make a difference. But being able to come out of that and call yourself a champion out of that tournament, it's gonna provide a lot of insurance for your case to be the number 1 overall seed.
For sure. Yeah, both teams have excellent bodies of work, and that's a great thing mentioning Florida, because they can run and gun with the best of them in that conference.
Absolutely. I mean, Florida has every capability in the world to be just like Alabama and put 95 up on the board on any given night they want to. They've had a couple ugly games. If I remember right, they lost to Georgia earlier in the year where they didn't even look like a top 25 squad in that game.
No.
And then they just handled Alabama on Alabama's court. It's night and day who wants to show up, and like I said, I just think whoever can make it out of that conference, they're going to feel really good about themselves, and they should be playing some pretty good ball going into that tournament.
Yep, for sure. ACC, I want to talk a bit about it, but let's be honest with ourselves. It's been Duke's conference all year. It's their tournament to lose. If they don't win it, something very bad happens.
Absolutely. I think UNC might be able to give them a ride in a game, whether, if they find each other in the championship or wherever they do. I think UNC could give them a game, but ultimately Duke's probably top 2 favorites. I would assume it's probably them and Auburn to win the national title.
Yeah, I think Duke's been up there all year.
Yeah, they're in the top 3 favorites to win the national title.
Right.
Take care of the ACC. It's not deep. It's not hard. Do your job. Get into March.
Right.
Yeah. Or I guess I should say the tournament. We are in March. But get into the tournament, and that's where business really starts, because I don't want to say it's a cakewalk, but the ACC is not a hard tournament to win for the Duke Blue Devils.
No. And truthfully, I'm shocked that they even lost a game in that conference.
Me too. I mean, watching that team, they're solid. I mean, Cooper Flagg, man, he's the real deal.
He is.
He plays some good ball, man.
He's everything you want in a modern day player. Big wing, 3-level scorer. You can make an impact on both ends. Just electric.
Absolutely.
Someone that you want to tune in and watch all the time. And yeah, if Duke doesn't win every game in this tournament by a margin of at least 15 points, I'm going to take notice.
Yeah. I mean, I think they'll probably play somebody around Boston College for their opening round game. Should win that by 30. Yeah. Same with the second round. Semifinal, like I said, if they play UNC, I think UNC could give them a pretty good game.
Right.
Ultimately, I think Duke still ends up winning by 12, 15 points. But I think it's close for the majority of it. But other than that, man, they're going to handle that one.
Yeah.
I don't even think there's really a debate in that one. I think Duke's going to grab it. They're going to head into the tournament pretty hot. So
definitely in play for the number 2 overall seed, I believe.
Absolutely.
Yep. And then Big Ten.
Big Ten is fun, man. I think Wisconsin's a solid squad. They can score. They can play D. And they're a lot like Michigan State. They're well rounded. Doesn't matter the tempo you want to play with them. Doesn't matter how you want to play the game. Like Wisconsin's able to answer. Along with Michigan State, both can adapt. They can play slow. They can play fast. Looking at that Michigan State game that we talked about in our last episode, I don't want to say I called it, but I called it. Iowa played them really, really well. I think actually, didn't Iowa even go into the half with the lead?
I don't remember.
I don't remember for sure, just thinking off the top of my head. But and then, Michigan State ended up turning it around and they put 60 up in the second half.
Right.
So, if I have to choose somebody, give me Michigan State as the Big Ten champion. But I think them, Wisconsin, Maryland. I think Maryland's a solid squad. I was brain farting, but
you can't forget about Michigan either.
Michigan, they're not playing their best ball lately. The past couple of games, they've been slumping a little bit. They just got thumped by Michigan State, if I remember today.
I know, to win the Big Ten outright and get that number 1 seed in the tournament.
Yep.
How sweet is that if you're a Spartans fan, though? Going into your rival, taking care of business, getting to celebrate a regular season championship on their court.
It's business. I mean, I think Michigan State kind of knows that Tom Izzo doesn't have a ton of time left coaching.
Right.
I think right now they think the time is now. They got business they want to handle. I think they play really well rounded as a team. I like to watch them. If I have to pick one, give me the Spartans. But I also would not be surprised if we saw Maryland or Wisconsin holding up something at the end of that tournament.
Yep. Not as top heavy as it looks. I mean, there's a little bit of parity below Michigan State, but I mean, if you're talking about real contenders for winning that tournament, those are the 4.
Absolutely.
And I would pick the Spartans as well.
Yep. They're Big Ten's pretty deep, man. I mean, they're from top. Going back to last episode, we're talking about Ace Bailey and Ron Harper from Rutgers. Rutgers is bottom of the barrel of that conference, but they got the dudes that are projected to. 2 of their starters are going to be projected to go top 5 in the draft this year. I mean, Big Ten's deep; they're solid too. Also, I think their record and their season necessarily hasn't shown what that Illinois and Purdue have been recent years, but I don't think you can count out Purdue or Illinois to get hot and maybe not help their season, but they have the possibility to ruin a couple of people's seasons.
Right. I mean, Purdue is a very interesting case to me because they've been in and out of the top 10 all year because they've had one good win here, one bad loss here, and they've just been fluctuating in the standings. And I mean, I don't know much about Purdue. I'll be honest. I know that they still got their fantastic passing point guard in Braden Smith. He's the one that makes them go. But I feel like Purdue is back in that stage of their program where they'll be able to contend, but not be in that upper echelon because you don't have a difference maker like Zach Edey in center anymore.
You nailed it. Yep, that's pretty much exactly how I feel with Purdue too. Braden Smith is a baller. They're good, but they don't have that difference down low like they did last year.
Right, for sure. Okay, let's see. ACC, Big Ten, SEC. Big 12.
Big 12's not, dude. There's 4 in each conference right now that legit have a possibility if they're playing the right ball can win it.
Right.
Iowa State, they've been good all year.
You got to look at Houston.
Houston's obviously the favorite to win that conference. Houston plays very, very well. LJ Cryer, their dudes are old. They got experience on that team, and they play ball well together. Kansas, are they having a down year? Yes. Are they dangerous as any other year? Yes. So if I had to pick a winner, I'm going to go with Iowa State. I've just liked the way that they play ball all year. So give me the Cyclones.
Yeah. I'll tell you, man, this one's difficult for me because I love that Iowa State, like Michigan State, is very well rounded and balanced. But I will tell you, both Houston and Iowa State lock you down when you play them. It is very hard to score on both these teams. And I think that's going to be the title game. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a score of like 59, 54, 60, 56. I mean, just very low scoring, grinded out basketball, reminiscent of what we got in the 2000s.
Yep.
And I got to say, give me Houston, because the one thing that Iowa State doesn't have that I think would really put them over the top is they don't have that go-to guy in the clutch.
Yeah.
And with Houston, LJ Cryer is going to be spotting up for threes, trying to get open. They have a guy that they can give the ball to when they need points.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm picking the Cougars.
Yep. They're a very dangerous team, man, and they have been, I don't want to necessarily say disrespected all year, but they have been the team in the top 5 all year that no one has talked about. They've been under the radar, taking care of business, doing their thing, man, and they just keep winning. And they're a solid squad too. I can see Houston riding out of the Big 12 pretty happy.
Yeah, I think so. Those are my winners. And not a Big 4 conference, but still one that I think we need to mention. Even though they've had a really down year compared to where they've been the last 5 or 6, I don't think you can count out Gonzaga.
No,
out of the WCC.
Yep, they're Gonzaga. That we got our former poke out there with Graham Ike. Ryan Nemhard. They got dudes, and they can. I don't think you can count them out on being able to turn around and make a push in the tournament.
Right.
They're a very well rounded team, and I think a lot of people will have them sleeping, getting pretty deep, possibly Sweet 16, Elite 8, somewhere in there.
Right.
You can't count them out. It's crazy they've ran that conference for so long, and they just keep continuing to do it. And this year they have a down year, and all of a sudden everybody's just forgot about them, almost.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the one thing I'll say is they've been in the games that they've lost. I don't really know if they've ever gotten blown out in any of their losses this year.
Yeah. I remember I watched their really, like, the only game I've watched from Gonzaga this year was that opening night one when
they played Baylor.
Baylor, yes, when Baylor went up to Washington and played the Dogs up there, and I watched that one. And other than that, I have not watched a ton of Gonzaga. I don't think I've watched them. I have lacked this year compared to recent years with watching Gonzaga ball, and I think it's because I can't stay up anymore like I used to. They have those 9 o'clock tips, and by that time, me and my old lady, we're probably about 20 minutes sleeping by that time.
Right.
So,
right. Yeah, talk about East Coast bias. Talk about bedtime bias. I don't know.
Exactly. I can see their final score in the morning.
Yeah. We have a really good buddy that loves the Zags. Shout out to Nate in Nashville. I don't know how he stays up and watches those games in the central time slot.
Absolutely. It's old, man. It's late, and I'm too old to be doing it. I can't. And after the weekend we had, I might sleep for about 4 days straight. So,
dude, I I wish I could sleep for 4 days straight. My goodness. Still worth it though. All right, let's get into some free agent talk.
Free agency, man. We've already had a lot happen. I think we're kind of just breaking the crust right now. I feel like tomorrow we're gonna get some serious headlines that
Players are signing.
Players are going somewhere. Who knows where they're going? You called it in the last episode. You said you liked Devontae Adams to the Rams. He just signed there today.
Yeah, and I mean another weapon for Matthew Stafford. Not the player that he used to be, but still serviceable for his age. And I think LA is a very sneaky team next year. I think that they could easily win 11, 12 games, and adding a weapon on the outside like Devontae really opens things up for who's our running back?
Kyren Williams.
All right, that's right. Yeah, that's who I was thinking. Just having a guy that can stretch the field and make the defense commit more in coverage, just open things up. And the Rams are my a sneaky pick to win 13, 14 games next year.
They could, man. I mean, they got a weapon. It's going to suck that they're going to be losing Cooper Kupp here in the next couple days. But oh my goodness, I apologize to everybody. When we were out this weekend, I definitely caught a cold, and it is not being nice to me and my sinuses right now. So I apologize for the background annoyances that you guys are hearing. But
right. Well, and I'll say my voice is pretty hoarse, but I blame the Nuggets for that one.
Yep. But no, sorry, getting back to it. The Rams have every ability. I think if we're going to see them in the playoffs next year, I think it's going to be a wild card. I think the Niners are going to come back and win that division. And they had a down year, but I think they're going to work out some crinkles this offseason. They have John Lynch as their general manager.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to do a good job this offseason of making sure whatever happened last year doesn't happen again this year.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and all eyes are on San Fran right now because Brock Purdy's waiting to get that contract extension.
Yep. He's due. Obviously, even now, people are looking at him saying, are we ever going to be able to see McCaffrey again? I know there's plenty of fantasy owners that probably want to see him come back.
I know.
But
I mean, something tells me that Christian McCaffrey will have 1 to 2 more good years in the NFL.
He still has plenty of good years. The guy can't catch a break with the injury bug, but they're still very, very solid team. I think they're going to be okay next year.
Yeah, that's the one thing that does give me pause, though, is the fact that his one notably healthy year, he wins NFL Offensive Player of the Year, and then the Niners go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are going to start putting the Niners on notice when they sign former Charger defensive lineman's brother, Joey Bosa, and put the brothers on opposite sides of the offensive lines and see what they can do with those two.
That would be very interesting. I mean, Joey got released by LA last week, and I can see why he was on a big contract, but just, it feels like he starts out the year great, gets hurt, you never hear from him ever again.
Yeah, he hasn't been too lucky with his time in LA, but I think that he's going to get a fresh start. And I hope that the Niners sign him and his brother back, sign him to join his brother,
right? And
just let those two play. I think it'd be fun to watch.
Oh yeah,
maybe even both of them have 8, 9, 10 sacks piece next year.
Oh yeah, cool. I mean, if Joey stays healthy, I can definitely see him having an 8, 9 sack season, and just having 2 elite pass rushers on both sides of your line does so much for you, and it makes the lives of your linebackers, safeties, and corners that much easier.
Yep. That's when you got a when really all you have to do as a cornerback is say, I just have to cover this guy for 2.5 seconds because the two brothers down low are going to be in his face after that.
Mm-hmm.
It adds a lot of comfortability to you as a defensive player. So be cool. But, like I said, tomorrow's going to be the day that we're going to see what can happen.
Right. Yes, it is. And we actually compiled a pretty, well, not small list, but smaller list of some notable players that are on the market and where we think they're going to go. I will start us off. We've got Javon Hollins, safety from Miami, and I think we could see him go to the Vikings. Like I mentioned in last episode, Harrison Smith is on excuse me, retirement watch, and I just think this is it for him. I think that he still makes an impact on the field, but he's a lot slower than he used to be, and he's Vikings legend. If he walked away now, everyone would still love him, but just concerning Holland, he's a guy that can step into Brian Flores' scheme and really thrive because he can do a lot of different things. He can cover, he can come up to the line, he can be an extra pass rusher. Just that versatility in that all blitz cover zero scheme would be really good for a player like him.
And just to tag off your prediction, Brian Flores is up in Minnesota, so
yep.
Nice to have a dude come back who already knows your system. You know his system. He knows that you know how to play in it. Chemistry is already there. Be a good spot for him, I think. But I actually have him going to the Indianapolis Colts. They're in desperate need of a free safety, and I just think they're going to offer him the bada bing, bada boom, ching that.
Oh yeah.
That he's searching for. So I'm with you. I think he's a great player. I would actually really like to see him come to Denver, and
yeah,
I think he'd be fun to have in Denver with the Broncos. But ultimately, I think the Colts are going to give him a pretty hefty amount of money, and he's going to go to Indianapolis.
Yep. Good safeties are hard to come by on the free agent market. So when one comes available and you've got the cap space, you got to pay that premium, and more often than not, it works out pretty well.
Absolutely. Well, next one, what we got? Chris Godwin. I have Chris Godwin re-signing and staying in Tampa Bay. He's coming off an injury. In an injury like what he had with that dislocated ankle, broken ankle.
I think he broke the ankle.
Everybody knows Chris Godwin. They know he's a hell of a player, but sometimes when you see an injury like that, some teams are kind of like, what are we going to get from you if we sign you coming off this injury? I think he likes Tampa. I think he likes lining up next to Mike Evans. They got Baker at the helm, throwing the rock to him. K. Dotton is a very good developing tight end. I think Chris Godwin doesn't have any feel that he needs to go somewhere else. I think he's just going to re-sign and get paid in Tampa.
Yeah, something tells me he'll stay. I mean, he's like Mike Evans, been there for his whole career, I think. And when he's healthy, he's been such a reliable number two next to Mike Evans. And I feel like they've been one of the top 5 wide receiver duos in the league for at least the last half decade. And
they should continue to be this year.
They should. Yeah, I think, we kind of mentioned it last episode, but Mike Evans is one season away from breaking Jerry Rice's consecutive season record of 1,000 yards in a season. And that's definitely something that I'm going to be watching because, like I said last episode, I love Mike Evans. I love watching him play. He's one of the best receivers of the last decade, and that man will be in Canton the first time his name's on the ballot.
Absolutely. Yep. I couldn't agree with you more. I think he likes being with Mike. Mike compliments him like he compliments Mike. I don't see any reason that he's going to want to leave Tampa Bay. Right. So I got him re-signing there.
Right. But I did think of a different destination for him for the sake of this exercise. I could see Green Bay giving him a pretty hefty payday.
Well, and especially with DK Metcalf just going to Pittsburgh, Devontae Adams going to LA.
Mhm.
The receivers are going, and it could be a good thought of, they're going to have to go now
Yeah.
because you're going to watch them all leave beforehand. But
Yep.
I think Chris Godwin likes the heat too much. I don't see him wanting to
Yeah.
go to Green Bay.
Yeah.
But Green Bay needs somebody, so they're gonna have to act fast.
Yep. I agree. All right. Next one, Khalil Mack.
Khalil Mack. I thought about this one when I was doing my notes for a little bit longer than most of them, and I honestly could not decide between. I think he's going to go to the Washington Commanders or the Detroit Lions. Both of them are in win now situations. Khalil Mack is in win now situation. He wants a ring. Uh, I think he joins one of those two teams. I liked Washington because they just got rid of
Jonathan Allen.
Jonathan Allen. I think they can get Khalil Mack for a quarter of what they had Jonathan Allen signed to. So the ton of money they're going to have moving still. I think that he could go and join another old timer like Bobby Wagner there, and see if Jaden Daniels could get him a Super Bowl before either their time is up. And then with Detroit, I just think Detroit's in another, every year they're for the past 4 or 5 years now, they've been going into the season as one of the top three favored teams to win that year's Super Bowl, and they haven't done it yet.
Right.
They're in win now before they see it go away.
Right.
I just think Khalil Mack understands that, knows the importance of trying to win a Super Bowl up in Detroit. He obviously wants to be a part of it. I could see him going to Detroit just to help Aiden Hutchinson on the line down there.
Yeah, I could definitely see those two. One sneaky destination that we just kind of talked about for him, I think, would be Tampa Bay, because they got Kalijah Cansey at D tackle, fast rising young star at D tackle. Getting another guy like Mack next to him really helps their excuse me, their just overall ability to get a good pass rush, stuff running lanes. And I mean, Max 34, but I think he's still got a good amount left in the tank. And, Tampa's always competitive. They're probably going to win the South again. They're going to be in the playoffs. And I think having a guy like Mac on your D line really gives you a chance to go far in the playoffs.
Yep. Good points, man. Who we got next?
All right. Next, I have Amari Cooper, and I have him going to Houston.
Houston.
Yeah, I say Houston because Stephon Diggs got hurt as a free agent. Don't think he'll be back. Tank Dell, like we said last episode, broke his leg in another horrific incident during the season, so they'll be without him. And Nico Collins is their guy, their number one. But at the same time, he got hurt this year, and he was out for a good chunk. So
he was out for what, 6 or 7 weeks?
Something like that. Like, just like a very significant portion.
Turns into a third of the season real quick.
Yeah, for sure. And like, just Cooper is not as quick as he used to be. He used to be this absolute speed demon down the sidelines. Could break any defense, take the top off of it. I mean, I'd still think that he's got some of that ability in him, and I think that he'd be a very low cost option at wide receiver for 1 year while Tank Dell heals and you figure out what to do in the draft at that other spot or wherever. I mean, wide receiver isn't the Texans' only issue, but not having your 1B, so to speak, next year. I mean, I feel like Cooper would just be the guy that they would call and say, "Hey, do you want to come step in and play here for a year?"
Absolutely. I could see him almost like a rental receiver for the year. Right. Get through to their young core again.
Right.
But I have Amari Cooper going to the Patriots. Patriots are top 3 in salary cap available. My just vague prediction is I don't think that many teams are going to be super interested in Amari Cooper. And it just, the nicest way I feel like for me to say it is it's just, I feel like he's floating out of the picture now. Right. And I just don't see a ton of teams calling his agent trying to see if they can come here. Patriots are going to have whatever money he wants.
Right.
I could see him going up to help Drake May out up there in Foxborough.
Yeah, for sure. Next we have Charvarius Ward, cornerback, and I've got him going to the Buffalo Bills. Is one of the most, honestly, I think he's one of the most underrated players of the last few years. The dude is about as good of a corner as you can ask for. He can play shutdown coverage. He can stick to tight ends. He can cover any area of the field. And I mean, you just want to talk about a guy that's not gonna give up even an inch of space when you're trying to go at him. It's Charvarius Ward, and dude won a Super Bowl in Kansas City. Was an All Pro with San Francisco last year when they went to the Super Bowl. Super experienced corner, and Buffalo needs someone opposite Christian Benford with I think Douglas um um Sewell Douglas, excuse me. With him being a free agent and having lost a step, I think that they're going to have an opening there. And I would just call Trevor Ward and say, how much do you want to come line up next to Christian Benford on the other side of the field and really transform our third level of our defense?
Yeah, I got him. I got him going to the Jets. Steve Wilkes is up in New York. He worked with Charvarius back in San Francisco for a little bit. He's in New York. New York's looking to upgrade. I think he'll go to the Jets.
Nice. All right, next one. Let me scroll down on my notes here. Sam Darnold. I've got him going back to the Vikings on the exact same deal they signed him for last year. And the reason I say this is because if the man had not completely crapped his pants the last 2 games of the year, he'd be looking at a cool $30 million a year contract with like the Titans or the Panthers. I mean, he might still go to those teams, but I mean, the way he just completely froze when the lights were on him against the Lions and the Rams last 2 games of the year, I think that gave teams a lot of pause. And, we talked about this last week, but with the Vikings, they don't know what they have in J.J. McCarthy. And Darnold knows the system. He had his most successful year with the Vikings. And I just think that it's good to have him there as a half starter, half insurance option if something does happen with JJ McCarthy. So I've got him staying in the Twin Cities.
Yeah, I could see your take. I could see him wanting to stay in Minnesota as they are a very good, solid team. All in all through, all 3 levels of the game, they're solid. But I got him now with the recent news. Maybe a little not, but I have him either going to the Steelers or the Giants. Maybe even more so the Steelers now that they just got DK Metcalf in via trade. Or with the Giants, my thought process with the Giants is go and sign Sam Darnold, and hopefully Travis Hunter doesn't go top 2. Take him at 3, and have Darnold with Malik Neighbors and Travis Hunter as your wideouts and see what he can do. At this point, you got nothing to lose. You don't have a quarterback.
No.
Go get him. See if he wants to come play in MetLife for a year, and then that gives you weapons to even just try and reload to next year with Arch Manning and the next year of draft class coming in. If you guys suck again, then here's your opportunity. Now you have 2 really good receivers for a young quarterback to come in and see what he can do the following year. Right. So I like Sam Darnold there, but now I think I'm leaning a little bit more towards him going to the Steelers with them getting DK Metcalf. There's weapons there now. I could see – I think it's ultimately going to come down to if he wants to – where he's going to go, just how much he's going to get paid.
Right.
I think money's going to talk with all of them, and so we'll see who wants to crank out the checkbook first for him.
Right, yeah, that's one to watch for sure. Next one, I've got defensive end Josh Sweat, who I thought should have been Super Bowl MVP. The man completely –
He sure played like him, man.
He did. He was pretty much a one-man wrecking crew for 3 quarters on that line. And, I mean, I don't want to have one of my teams on here more than twice, but I think the Bills, especially with letting go of Von Miller today, they have a clear need at the other side of their defensive line. And I mean, Sweat may have benefited from being alongside three other really good defensive linemen on that team, but I think he's got the motor, he's got the technique, the uh, the relentless push that he gets off the snap, and the Bills just need a good young rising defensive end to pair next to Greg Rousseau, who they just extended yesterday, and I could see him making a cool 20 million a year in Buffalo, and I think that's something they take every time.
He's going to Green Bay.
I could see that too.
I think Green Bay will be looking to upgrade, have somebody next, or I guess, across the line from Rashad Gary, um, especially now with Zach Bond signing that the big contract in Philly.
Mhm.
I don't see him going back to Philadelphia. I think he's going to want too much money,
Right.
and I think he'd be a good addition to Green Bay's defense.
Yep, for sure. All right, getting through it now. Dre Greenlaw, I've got him going to your Broncos because while he did tear his Achilles in the Super Bowl, which really I thought was the difference in that game, if he doesn't get hurt, I don't think the Chiefs win that game. But I mean, again, another upgrade on your defense. As far as I know, they don't have like any glaring needs on that side, but having better guys in that spot.
I think our glaring needs right now are inside linebackers and D line.
Yeah.
So no, I like that. I'm with you too. I think he'd be a good addition to the Broncos defense.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be the place for him to find his true linebacker one position that he's seeking. He would get that call in Denver. I also think that he could find himself in Dallas. Eric Kendricks is no longer there. He's going to be a free agent again this year. Is also. I think it just seems fitting for him to be in either Dallas or Denver next year.
Right. Yep. All right. Next one I've got is Byron Murphy, cornerback. I think he's going to go to Washington because if you watched the Commanders closely in any capacity last year, their secondary was their weakest point on defense, and I don't remember the corner's name. I remember late in the year when they were playing the Falcons, they just picked on him over and over and over again and just got big chunks of yards down the field through the air. And one criticism that I have of Brian Flores' scheme is that it doesn't really allow the corners to do what they do. I mean, yeah, you've got some guys dropping back into man coverage, but I feel like if you let these DBs really have the chance to cover and make an impact on breaking up routes and plays, they'll do well. And I think if Byron Murphy goes to a team like Washington, he can step in and be an instant upgrade on that side, and I think really make a big impact for those guys out in DC.
Yeah, they could use somebody like that. I think. See, what I put in my notes was I said if he doesn't re-sign, I think there's a good chance he's going to just re-sign and be a Viking again next year. But if he does not re-sign, sorry, I think he's going to go to Las Vegas. Raiders have a ton of money. They just paid Max Crosby, just got Geno. Besides Christian Wilkins and Max Crosby, that defense doesn't really have anything. I think they're going to be looking to upgrade at a lot of positions. Yeah. I could see him going to the Raiders if he does not end up back in Minnesota.
Yep, I can definitely see that one as well. This is a pretty interesting one to me. Justin Fields, I think he's going back to Pittsburgh.
I got two again. A lot of these guys I ended up with two teams just because I got a little torn. I have him going back to either Steelers, but if the Steelers do not want him, I could see him actually going to the Saints and playing a backup role behind Derek Carr for when ultimately Derek Carr sucks again this year and the Saints bench him.
Or gets hurt.
Which is both are very, very likely things.
Yeah, both are on the table.
So I could see him going down to New Orleans, sitting behind Derek Carr, and then ultimately starting quite a bit of games this year for New Orleans.
Right, for sure. Last one I've got on here, And Cam Bynum, I also think he's going to Denver. I mean, he fills again another needed safety, and I mean he's if you really want to pick out somebody on Brian Flores' defense in Minnesota that stands out frequently, Cam Bynum's right there. I mean he's good. He's good dropping back in man. He's good coming up to the line, making plays, stopping plays short of getting big yards. I mean, just a guy who again I think could really flourish in a different system and have a much more pronounced impact on a defense than he would on a blitz heavy scheme where he's been with the Vikings for the last few years.
Yeah. I actually, I don't know if I just didn't do him or what, but I don't have him. So never even looked into the guy. My guy that I had instead was I had Aaron Jones, who just signed back with Minnesota. I was wrong on this one. I had him going to the Denver Broncos. I thought with Javonte Williams walking this year, I thought Aaron Jones would have been great to bring in to mentor the young running back that I hope that we draft out of the draft, along with Estime, all them. Ultimately, I was wrong. He's staying in Minnesota, which I think is still a good fit for him. I think he likes playing in the NFC North. He's done his whole career.
Mm-hmm.
So I was wrong on it. I wish he would have came a Bronco, but good to see him back in purple and gold.
Oh yeah, for sure. 10 million a year for excuse me, 10 million a year for a running back, and it has his age. I mean, if it were a longer deal, I'd be a little nervous about it, but I mean, he loves being in Minnesota. He loves that offense, and he's been a leader in the locker room for them. So I think it's a great deal for both sides.
Yeah, and I think he easily has these 2 years that he's under contract. I think he easily still has that in him. I don't think you'll see a decline out of him. No. I think he still probably has at least 4 more years of solid production in his lap. So I think it's a good signing for him. I wish Broncos would have got him. He would have been a workhorse, but it is what it is.
Yep, for sure.
Ultimately, we're just two dummies who sit on a couch and just talk about sports, so we don't really know a whole lot, but might get some of these right. It'll be interesting to go back and look once all this is said and done and see how many we got right, got close,
mm-hmm.
How it all went down.
Maybe a little show idea for after for midsummer when a lot of stuff slows down.
Yep.
Excuse me, everybody. Like Braden, I'm kind of under the weather, but we're making it. So this next segment is not going to be nearly as long as I thought it would be. There were a lot of players on the trade block before today. Myles Garrett, DK Metcalf.
Myles Garrett, like I said earlier, he said, I want to get out of Cleveland. And they said, yeah, but how does 40 million sound? And he was like, maybe I could stay in Cleveland.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, at that time too, it's like, if you were offered a $40 million pay raise to take your job, I'd be like, where do I sign?
Yeah, exactly.
So, but the one that we did talk about when we were doing our notes on Wednesday was the Bengals are notorious for not paying their stars, and yet they're trying to shore up the side of the football where they don't need any help, and they're allowing their best defensive player to seek a trade.
It sounds very fitting for the Bengals, based off recent moves, especially just letting Sam Hubbard. They learned earlier in the week is retiring.
Yep, and
they say, yeah, Bengals, if you were sad about Sam Hubbard, wait until we tell you that we're going to let Trey Hendrickson walk too. Right. It's amazing that they don't sign Chase. They franchise tag T. Higgins twice now.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're going to let your best defensive player essentially find the team best fitted for him when he's already signed under you guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's bad leadership. It's bad front office. I don't know what they're doing there. Get Jamar out, get Joe Burrow out, or get the front office out. But something's got to change. Right. It's not healthy to ask Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Joe Burrow to score 65 points a game because our defense is going to give up 62.
Exactly. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, you want all the talent on the side that you can get, but I mean, when these rookie contracts run out with how the salary cap continues to rise, these guys are going to demand top dollar, and you can't keep you can't keep your stars past that rookie deal usually because there's a salary cap.
Yep.
There's a reason why the salary cap is there, and it's to allow teams, or excuse me, it's to prevent teams from stacking their rosters and hoarding talent without doing, like, they'd have to incur some kind of penalty.
Yep.
To keep all that talent. But I think obviously you can't keep both Chase and Higgins. I think I would rather pay Chase at this point.
Yep.
But I mean, you can't let your best defensive player dictate the rules of engagement and where he wants to go, because if he does get his wish and he does get traded, the Bengals will once again be at the bottom of the NFL in terms of defense.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I think they're bottom 10 defensively again this year. Maybe they're going to try to upgrade a little bit once free agency opens, but I think they've already proved they don't want to pay anybody. They want all these stars there to go win a Super Bowl.
Right.
But the only person they want to pay is Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
So their defense is going to be abysmal again this year. Joe Burrow is going to get sacked 45 times, and he is going to have to throw for ungodly amount of yards again this year because his defense is going to be no help to him. And, I think also, like, realistically in that locker room, I think this deflates a lot of that defensive side when the Bengals just say, hey, our best player who, if I might be wrong, but I think it was that Monday night game where the Bengals played the Commanders this last season. Trey Hendrickson, I want to say, had 2 or 3 sacks in that game, and he had even more tackles. The dude was playing lights out, and it just he's proven for the past couple of seasons that he needs to be paid, and the Bengals just aren't doing it, and it's sad to see, especially as Wyoming boys, and you see a dude that grew up in Casper, Wyoming on that defense. So a little homage comes in, and when I want to see Logan Wilson find success in the NFL, just like former other Polk grad Josh Allen is. And the Bengals just can't do it.
Right. I mean, I will say though, Logan did end up getting that second contract from Cincinnati, so that's big for him, great for him.
Yes.
I mean, it is cool seeing him make his place in the NFL, and I remember when they went to the Super Bowl, he played a big role on that team as the middle linebacker.
Absolutely. So, but hopefully we'll see that it's about to all start heat up. So we're gonna get a lot of answers here soon.
Yep, Wednesday should be a very fun show.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to that one. All right, I'm going to backtrack here really quick before we close this thing out. In terms of the March Madness bracket, what's your toughest region in your mind? Like, if we're looking back on what was it?
Well,
the 16 projected teams.
Yes.
That were released.
So Matt and I, we kind of just did we went on to X, formerly known as Twitter, and we just found a hypothetical projected bracket. We know that they're not out yet. And I'm trying to find it right now. Do you have it on you?
I think you texted it to me. Yep. Doing it live, guys.
Yep. It's the joys of it.
Yep.
But
you sent it to me somewhere.
I think I found it. Yep, I got it right here. So I think, dude, honestly, I like so the one that we looked at, they have Auburn, Florida, Duke, Alabama as the 1 seeds.
Yeah.
I think that's a very, very likely projection. Each one of them are going to run a region.
The only one that I am kind of in disagreement about is I think Michigan State should be like the 3rd or 4th 1 seed, especially if they win the Big Ten tournament.
Yep. I'm trying to see where they even have Michigan State at in.
They would have to be a 2, right? You would think.
Nope. The 2s in this hypothetical bracket have Houston, Texas A&M, Tennessee, and Wisconsin.
Interesting.
So yeah, here it is. This one has Michigan State at the 4 seed in the West
Oh boy.
with Florida, Gonzaga, Marquette, Michigan State, Illinois, Arizona, UCLA, BYU, Texas A&M. A solid region.
Right.
Yeah, I mean Michigan State at least. I don't agree with the 4. I think they would be at the very least a 3 seed. So that's it's a little weird to me. I maybe we're on the horse of Michigan State a little bit more than anybody else is, but
Maybe, but I will say, if they do end up being like a 3 or a 4, watch out. I mean, because Tom Izzo's best March teams are the ones that people don't look at enough.
absolutely. Um, Alabama in this has just notable teams. They got Texas Tech in there, who's been playing very good ball this year.
Right.
Excuse me. They got Memphis. To me, if this bracket is true, Memphis as an 8 seed is a serious concern for me if I'm an Alabama fan.
Really?
Strictly not. I'm not saying Memphis is good enough to beat them.
Right.
Memphis can. They're another team that can put 98 on the board when they want to.
Right.
And if you get down into the final minute, Memphis, Alabama in this 1-8 game in the round of 32, you get down to 1 minute left of the game and you're both tied at 94. Who knows?
Yeah.
So Memphis is a team that likes the over. I've found some success this year in the sports book with Memphis's overs in their games. They like to score, they like to run, they like points. So that could be a possible watch out. They play New Mexico in the 8-9 in this. Texas Tech's in there. Missouri, who already beat Alabama this year, is the 4th seed in that region. They have Iowa State, as the 3 seed in this one. Wisconsin's the 2 seed. Wisconsin's dangerous. I think that'd be a scary one to play. In the, what would that be, the Elite 8?
Yeah.
If the 1 and the 2 found each other,
right.
It could be. Wisconsin's a dangerous team. So this is the best part, man. These are all hypotheticals right now until next Sunday.
Yep.
But you even just look at these matchups right now in this picture, and there's plenty that you look at and go, that could be a little dangerous for them,
Right.
Gonzaga, they have projected to play Utah State in the 8-9 seed game in Florida's region.
Yeah.
Gonzaga is they're a solid team. They could give Florida a little bit of a fuss.
Yeah.
They got Michigan State, Marquette, Illinois, Arizona. There are plenty of good teams in that West region too. It's just the best part about March, man. It's the best part. Anything can happen. You see teams that don't go up against normal teams in this tournament. When last time Wyoming went, didn't we play UNI?
Yeah.
So we play, Northern Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
You play teams you don't really see. You play teams that may not really match to your strengths that you want to play. You got to adjust. Sometimes maybe Alabama's going to find themselves in a game where they really have to slow it down, and they got to win a barn burner this year. Right. It's fun. It's what makes March. It makes it's what makes me just want to put my 2 butt cheeks into a couch and sit there for 12 hours and do nothing but drink beer and watch basketball.
I know.
And it's the best part. I feel like a kid on Christmas Eve right now. I know it's right around the corner, and
you're just waiting.
I'm just ready. I'm chomping at the bit right now.
I am too. Who do you think the first 1 seed that's going to lose? Who's that going to be? If we're going off,
I would say, are we just going off this hypothetical?
Yeah. Stick to that.
I mean, just looking at it, I think Auburn would escape Creighton or Baylor. I think Florida would escape Gonzaga or Utah State in that second round. I think Duke would escape UConn or West Virginia.
Duke UConn would be
it would be a fun game, but I think Duke would handle them pretty well. Maybe 8 to 10 point win.
Right.
I feel like if I just had to go off this hypothetical one, Alabama would be in the most danger if Memphis got to that second round with them.
Yeah.
And maybe Alabama is just better than them in every scheme, and they
Right.
beat them by 20. But Memphis, just like I was saying, I just think Memphis has the nonchalant and the desire to score points just as much as Alabama does.
Right.
And if you get the game late and you're tied with them, who knows what happens. So if I had to choose one, I feel like I'd have to, between Alabama, Duke, Florida, and Auburn, I think I would take Memphis to upset Alabama
Right.
to be the first one.
Right. So out of those hypothetical matchups, I think I would pick UConn over Duke because we talk about Cooper Flag and he's great, but you look at another star on that side for the Huskies, Liam McNeely.
Yep.
Another big, tall wing that can score, just a guy that can put 40 on the board any given night and is a top 3 prospect in this draft.
Absolutely.
And,
yep.
I mean, just that would be must see TV for me, and like that would be crazy if we would get that in the second round.
If we got that in the second round, it would be a really, really fun region.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you. I think anything's possible, and that Maryland's also in that region
Right.
as a 5 seed in
Right.
this, and the team that they would have to play in the round of 32 is right now projected to be St. John's.
St. John's
are scary, man. I like them a lot. I have really liked watching them play basketball this year. I think they're fun. I think Rick Pitino has a very, very good team there.
Yeah.
They can make a run. I think Clemson as the 6th seed in this East region.
Mm-hmm.
I think Clemson can shoot lights out when they want to.
Right.
When they're hot, they can't miss.
Right.
They go in and they have to play Michigan in the round of 32. They could upset Michigan. Then they're looking at Tennessee, and all it takes is a hot game. So
yep.
it's a lot of fun, man. Maryland and St. John's, I think, are just as dangerous in that region.
I know. Well, and going back to a point I had on Wednesday, that is the one positive thing I think NIL has brought out of, or that's come out of NIL, is you have so much parity around the country, talent spread out all over, and let's face it, the best part about this tournament is the Cinderellas, the teams that come out of nowhere and go to the Final Four or the Elite Eight, just go on that deep run that nobody saw coming. And since there's more talent across the entire field, you're going to get these teams that nobody looks at, and they'll go on deep runs and beat like ones or twos or just some team that you wouldn't think they'd beat.
Exactly. It wouldn't be that fun if you just had a tournament of 64 teams where just the higher seed won every time.
Right. Well, and I will say the only time that they've gotten 4 number ones in the Final Four was 2008. You had UCLA, Kansas, Memphis, and Memphis, UCLA, Kansas, and then UNC.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
was that Tyler Hansborough years?
Yeah, that was the year before they won the title.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
That was the year that Kansas beat Derrick Rose and Memphis in overtime in San Antonio. But I mean, it shows you how hard it is to win in this tournament. Like no matter if you're a 1-2, even a 14 or a 15, it's like, I remember you saying this a few years ago, and I still think it rings true. I think that think that to win in March, you have to be hot, and the matchup matters. If you draw the wrong matchup, even if you're like a 1 versus an 8, you're in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like at that point in the year, you know what you are, and other teams know what you are.
Yep.
So they're going to try to exploit you and try to pressure you into doing things you don't normally do and don't want to do. And that's the beauty of it, man. We're going to see a lot of action in about 10 days, and I cannot wait for it.
No, me either, man. It's starting.
Yep, it is. We're getting closer. A few more things before we get out of here. Steve, I've talked to you a little bit about you wanting to come on and talk about some golf. Hey, man, I'll be in touch. I'll be in touch soon, and we'll find some time to get you on the pod here. Got to up our golf knowledge.
Yeah, not just him, but we've had a couple other guests that have reached out to us, and they have been asking, interested, very interested, however you want to put it. They are interested in coming on to the podcast with us. we're not ignoring anybody. We're open to anybody. So we're this week we had a rough little part where this weekend we were both out of town, busy. We'll be in touch, and we would love to have anybody on, whatever we want to talk about. Hear different perspectives, hear different thoughts. It'll be a lot of fun to have anybody on. So just know, the people that have reached out to us, we're in talk of just trying to figure out when. Both of us are kind of back to reality now, so we'll figure it out here soon. But we appreciate you guys listening. And we're very happy and excited that people want to come and join and talk to us.
Right. So yep, Steve, we see you. Kyle, we see you. Anybody that wants to come on, just reach out to either of us. And we actually have a Facebook page up now for the pod. So go follow it at Everyman Sports Podcast on Facebook, and just let us know if you'd like to come on. All right, Braden, to close this out, I'm going to wax poetic about Nikola Jokic for a few minutes. As a Nuggets fan, I'm so desensitized to his greatness because I see it all the time. The fact that a 7-foot, 300-pound center from Eastern Europe came over here and changed the Nuggets franchise in the course of a couple years, became the best passing big man of all time, completely changed the offense to revolve around him, and just to come in and dictate the rules of engagement, the terms of how the game is played, is incredible. And like we said at the top of the show, we were so thankful that we got to witness the first 30-20-20 game in history. And it makes it even better that the Nuggets' best player of all time was the one to do it, and the one to really just make another mark on history in what has been maybe a top 5 season in the league's history.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy that big squishy lump of lard from Serbia is doing what he's doing, man. He is awesome to watch. We had the pleasure of being able to watch him Friday night make NBA history. It was a lot of fun. That freaking arena, man. They're bought in. They that arena loves Nuggets, and we love Nuggets, and they play hard. I think they're also a team that could be dangerous in the West. Don't let them get hot before the playoffs, because Jokic could go on a run of all runs, and it was really, really fun to just watch that guy work day in and day out. And Friday night was awesome, man. It was I don't know how many of you guys watched the game on TV or had the same pleasure as we did of watching history in person. It was pretty cool to watch. I know all of us, we did a little squad bet for our buddy's bachelor party of Nuggets money line and Nikola Jokic triple double, and it was pretty funny because all of us are sitting together in the row, and it's about 3 minutes left in the first quarter, and we're all looking up and going, "All right, how's Jokic's stat line?" Oh, 6, 7 assists. He's almost at a triple double, and it's the end of the freaking first quarter.
I know, man. That's the crazy part and it gets talked about a lot when any NBA talking head or podcast talks about Jokic, but it looks like the man's not even trying out there.
No. I mean, ultimately, if the NBA shut down tomorrow, I don't think Jokic would care one bit.
No.
That man is there to get his money and then go watch his horses.
Yep, that's the man treats basketball like it's his job, and yet he's one of the best at his job. So it's one of maybe the greatest player that I've ever watched in my lifetime, because he's not one that you would expect to be good, and I don't know what else to say about him other than the fact that he's my favorite player ever, and I'm grateful that I get to watch him, and I hope that we get to see him win another championship here in the near future.
Absolutely.
You said you wanted to talk about the Avs a little bit, right?
A little bit. I'm not good with hockey names. Obviously McKinnon is on a tear this year, leader in points. They're playing well, and the Avs are making really good trades right now. I think it was Thursday night. Yeah, Thursday night, right before we went to the Nuggets game. The Avs front office was making trades while the Avs were playing a hockey game. They're making moves. I think they're in win, not just now, not win in the next 3 years. They want a Stanley Cup in about 4 months, 3 months. When those playoffs are over, they are in win right now. They're fun to watch. They just exploded for 8 goals against the San Jose Sharks
That was
Thursday night.
crazy.
And then they answered again with 7 goals against the Maple Leafs Saturday night. Their offense, their power play, they are strong team overall. They're playing well, they're playing fast, they're playing together. They're starting to heat up. Unfortunately, they also have really good teams in front of them right now in their division between the Jets, the Wild, and the Stars. They got 4 teams right now, including themselves, that are very, very playoff worthy teams. So it's going to be tricky for them to find themselves into a comfortable spot come playoff time. And it's because we were so banged up and not playing the way we're playing right now at the beginning of the season. And we dug ourselves probably a deeper hole than we wanted to start the year out. And now, man, they're a fine-tuned machine out there. They're really fun to watch. I know we watched them last night, or yesterday while we were out having some beers and lunch with the boys, watching them play. They're fun, man. And I think the more that this new squad plays together, the new guys they brought in, they're just gonna get freaking better. So hopefully they keep stringing together wins and they get themselves into those Stanley Cup playoffs and make a run. Just make a run. Keep playing the way we're playing right now, and it's going to be very hard to beat that team.
Well, and what's really, I think, spurned them in this last stretch is they made a change at goalie, and it's changed everything for them.
Yep. They got Blackwood and Wedgie back there. Wedgwood. They got 2 goalies now that can either one can rock the boat for them. I think, and I think ultimately these dudes in McCarr and McKinnon, Drury, Neckis, they are able to play better when they aren't worried about 4 goals a game being scored on them.
Right.
With Gorgiev, I don't think that he deserved to get a ton of hate from the Avalanche fans. Yes, he started giving up. He turned into a fishnet instead of a goalie for a while there. It was very frustrating to watch him for a little bit. We got rid of him into San Jose, and I think the Avalanche showed why they got rid of him when they won 8-1 against the Sharks or whatever the score was. It just wasn't his time anymore. They made the right moves they needed to. They got goalies back there now that ultimately just give that team the confidence that, hey, let's just go score twice because these guys are going to give up maybe 1 a game. So if we score twice, we're going to win this game. Let's just go score.
Right. It's just knowing that you have that, like that area of the ice is fortified, and you've got a guy in there that can hold it down for you. I mean, that really just lets everyone play a lot looser and just
absolutely
play better overall. So yeah, both the Avs and the Nuggets should be able to make a run, and we'll see where it goes because we're starting to get down the stretch of the regular season in both leagues, and it's getting to put up or shut up time.
Yeah, and what did the Nuggets lose today?
They did, yes.
What was that score? Did they end up keeping that game close?
So it was close for about like 44 minutes of the game. Then at the end, OKC just poured it
Ripped
on
it up.
because for those that didn't watch the game, Nikola Jokic actually hurt his elbow on a hard foul from Isaiah Hartenstein in the first half, and that really impacted his ability to shoot and stretch the defense. And even then, Denver hung in there for most of it. I mean, Jamal Murray played well. Jalen Pickett played well off the bench. So yeah, they hung in, and I think if they have their squad healthy, and if Eric Gordon comes back and stays healthy, they can make another run.
They're gonna be okay, man. OKC is a good team. They're up there in the West with, I mean, they're atop of the West for a reason. They're a good squad. ultimately can't win a championship without beating them.
No.
So they got to figure out how to beat them in 7 games.
Yep.
But it's okay. They just had a very, very dramatic win Friday night over the Phoenix Suns. You could picture a little, I guess you could call it, sluggish game.
Yeah. I mean, well, and let's not forget about the time change here. They were playing at what was probably they thought was 10 o'clock, but was not.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not too worried about them. I was just really, really happy then. If that's the case that they lost today, I'm really happy that we went to the game that we did, because I don't think you could have written a better game to go watch.
Nope. It was fantastic through and through, and just very thankful to have gone down there with the boys. All right, I think that wraps it up for us tonight on the Everyman Sports Podcast. Thank you to all those that have tuned in to listen, that have just had really good things to say for us. It means a lot to us, and it gives us more motivation to keep this thing going. I know we're just getting off the ground, but seeing where this could go gets me really excited. And just seeing the fact that people like hearing us talk about sports is fantastic.
Yeah. We'll probably end up saying this at the end of every episode that we do. Matt mentioned earlier, he just made a Facebook page for us, Everyman Sports Podcast. If you can go like it, follow it. I'm not sure how Facebook works, whatever you got to do on that for a page. We'd appreciate it. It just helps get the word out, along with if you're on Twitter more, like using Twitter more than Facebook, we're on there as well at 307 ESP. We got pages on Twitter, got pages on Facebook. Please follow us, like us, report us, whatever you want to do. We appreciate the attention. And hopefully we continue to keep making solid stuff to get you through your workday, get you through your nap time. However you guys like to listen to us, we appreciate that people are coming out and having positive things to say. Like Matt said, we're starting. Neither of us are super tech savvy in this, so it is quite a bit of a challenge for us to try to learn how to smoothly operate this. But hearing all the positive things we've heard so far is really nice, so we appreciate it. Keep it up, please. We really appreciate the follows, the likes, whatever you guys like to do. We appreciate it.
Right. And the last thing I'll say is, if you guys have any ideas on how we can improve the show, just do things better, do things different, that would just improve the whole thing overall, please let us know. I mean, we know we're not perfect. We're not going to be perfect. And we're just in the fledgling stages of this endeavor. So if you have any kind of criticism or ways that we can improve in all facets, please let us know, because we want to improve and we want to get better.
God bless whatever you guys believe in. Bless your week. Have a good one.
Yep.
We'll hopefully have another one for you guys here on Wednesday.
See you then.
Thank you guys. Have a good night.